Hey guys, I know you guys already took a test on this information, but it never hurts to continue to review what we've been learning in class. So let's go ahead and go over this problem, and this one's quite simple, okay? All you need to do here is write down the problem, okay? So make sure on your blank sheet of paper that you're working on, you write this problem down, and then all we're going to do for this one is put it in slope-intercept form. Hopefully we remember that slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Okay, so let's go ahead and work on number 1. First thing I need to do is box my variable, and remember we always solve for the y. We cancel that positive 3x by subtracting 3x to both sides. Now we're looking to cancel what's beside our box, okay? And I bring down the 4y equals negative 3x plus 8. Notice we can't combine those, so we bring them both down. My last step is to divide everything by 4. And when I do that, those 4's cancel out to 1y equals negative 3 divided by positive 4 stays negative 3 over 4x. You can't reduce it. But 8 divided by 4 does reduce to positive 2. Alright, so just a little shortcut for our steps here. B, C, D, okay? Where B stands for box your variable, C stands for cancel what's beside your box, and D stands for divide by the number inside the box, okay? So I'm going to be using this and writing it off to the side and checking our steps to make sure that we're doing it right. So hopefully this might help some of you guys. Number 2, same concept. Notice here for this problem, there is no y value, so there's an x. So that means we have to solve for our x. Now, remember, according to the steps B, C, D, first thing I need to do is box my variable. Okay, so there's my box. Now, if you notice, is there anything next to it to cancel? No, so there's nothing next to it to cancel, so we don't even have that step. So I'm just going to rewrite the problem. And now I have to resort to D, which stands for divide by the number inside the box. So all I have to do here is divide everything by the number inside the box, which is a negative 2. X equals negative 6 divided by negative 2 is positive 3. Alright, now remember here, for this type of line, remember, okay, it is basically a vertical line, okay, that goes through the x-axis at 3. Okay? So it goes through the x-axis at 3. And this is a line, remember, that you cannot graph on your calculator. Okay? Cannot graph on your calculator because this is a no slope or undefined. Number 3, go ahead and pause this video, alright? And I want you guys to go ahead and try this one on your own. But I will give you one helpful hint. Notice it's written in a sense backwards. So there's nothing wrong with you rewriting the order. 2x minus y equals 7. Okay, it still means the same thing. I didn't change anything. I just flipped the different sides on the equation sign. So pause and work it on yourself and see if you get this right. Okay? Alright, so hopefully now you're back, and let's see if you get this right. First thing I do, box my variable, and remember I'm going to be careful and include the negative sign because it's a negative y. Next thing I need to do is cancel what's beside my box. What's beside it is a positive 2x. I'm going to subtract 2x to both sides. So we end up with, cancel what's beside our box, I'm going to bring down a negative 1y equals negative 2x plus 7. And the final step here is to divide. I'm going to divide everything by the number inside the box. When I do that, we get y equals 2x, because negative divided by negative is positive, and 7 divided by negative 1 becomes negative 7. There's our equation. Alright, question number 4. Is this a solution for the system? So notice that given this point, which we know that value is our x, and this value is our y. So all we need to do right now is just basically plug in those values that we know into both of the equations. We have to check to make sure that it works for both of the equations. So there's our first equation. I'm just going to put these parentheses there because I know I'm going to put different number values in there because that's what those letters are representing. So x is the first one, and that's a -1. In the second parentheses, I'm going to put the number 3 because that's what y is. Now here you just do basic math. 4 times -1, -4, plus 4 times 3 is 12 equals 8. So let's see if this is true. -4 plus 12 is 8. And does 8 equal 8? You bet. So far this is true. But now let's make sure it works for the second equation. 2 times x plus y equals 1. Let's plug in our values. X is -1. Y is 3. 2 times -1 is -2 plus 3 equals 1. Well, -2 plus 3 we can combine because they're like terms, and we get 1. So does 1 equal 1? Yes, that is true. So basically what we just discovered is this is a solution for this system. Same type of question. Okay, once again we have to check to make sure, is this point a good solution? So here 5 represents the x, -2 represents our y. Let's plug it in and check. So we have 3 times x plus 4 times y equals 7. Let's plug in our values. X is supposed to be 5 and y is supposed to be -2. Now let's work it out and do this math. 3 times 5 is 15 plus 4 times -2 gives us -8 equals 7. Is that true? 15 plus -8, is it 7? It does equal 7, and we know that 7 is equal to 7. So far, this is true. Now let's test it out for the second equation. You can't just assume that just because it works for one that that's our answer. Always have to check both equations. X plus 2 times y equals 8. Let's plug in our values. X is supposed to be 5, and y is -2. So notice nothing happens with that x value. I just bring it down 5 plus, well, 2 times -2 is -4 equals 8. 5 plus -4 is 1 equals 8. Now, is that true? Hopefully you guys know that that is not true. So therefore, this is not a solution for this system. Okay? Not a good solution. Alright, let's go ahead and solve this system. So remember, we've been always solving systems pretty much by graphing. And if we're going to solve these systems by graphing, that means we always need to make sure that we solve for y. Okay, so let me write out those 3 letters that I've been using. B, C, D. Box, cancel, divide. So we have 2y equals 4x plus 6. Notice I'm just going to rewrite both of the problems side by side so that I can work them out and have space. What I want you guys to do is go ahead and pause the video and try working this out on your own and see what you end up with. Alright, so hopefully you paused and you worked this out, so hopefully you guys are just watching to see if you got the right answer. Notice here, first thing I'm going to do is going to draw a box. Okay, notice I didn't need to draw a box though technically because there's nothing next to it to cancel. So I'm just going to rewrite it. 2y equals 4x plus 6. So the only step that I need to make is to divide. I'm going to divide everything by 2. Those canceled out. We get y equals 4 divided by 2 is 2x. 6 divided by 2 is positive 3. So there's our first equation. Let's go work out the second equation. Same thing. First, I box my variable. Let me erase my check marks over here on my BCD. Okay, so first thing I do is box the variable, which is a positive 2y. This time I'm going to cancel a negative 4x by adding 4x. So we just boxed and we just cancel what was beside our box. So we get 2y equals 4x minus 10. Next step, according to our letters here, is to divide. Divide everything by 2 because that's the number inside the box. And we end up with y equals, well, 4 divided by 2 is 2x, and negative 10 divided by 2 is negative 5. There's our two equations. Now I know typically we'd have our calculators and put this in y equals, look at the graph, see where they intersect, but do any of you notice anything special about these two lines? Anything at all? Hopefully you do, and you notice that they have the same slope, right? Both of them have a slope of 2. And anytime you have two lines that have a slope of, or a slope that's the same, we know that those two lines are parallel, which means they never touch. So the answer here is that there is no solution. Once again, solving the system. Two equations. We're going to solve this by graphing, so let's solve for y. Go ahead and take time right now to pause again and work this out on your own and see if you can, complete it on your own. I know I just kind of repeated myself. So, alright, so hopefully you paused and you actually worked this out. So now you're just reviewing and checking that you did this right. So first thing here, BCD, remember, box your variable, cancel what's beside it, divide. So first thing I need to do is box my variable, which is negative y. Notice there's nothing next to it to cancel, so I don't even have to do that step. So I'm just going to bring down what I have, and I'm going to bring down a negative 1y equals 4x plus 3. So the next step, D, stands for divide by the number inside the box, which is negative 1. So I'm going to divide everything by negative 1, and we end up with y equals negative 4x minus 3. So there's our first equation. Now we're going to work out the second equation. Remember, make sure you use these 3 little letters here. I think it was actually pretty helpful. So first I'm going to box my variable, which is the negative 2y. Next thing I need to cancel what's beside my box by doing the opposite. So I'm going to add 8x. So we cancel what's beside our box, and I bring it down, so I get negative 2y equals 8x plus 6. Well, according to this, the last step is to divide by the number inside the box, which is a negative 2. And our answer is that y equals negative 4x minus 3. So there's our two equations. And obviously we don't have a calculator to graph it, but do you all notice anything special about these two lines? Hopefully you guys notice that not only do they have the same slope, right? The same slope, the same m, they also have the same b, the same y-intercept. So therefore, if they have everything that's the same, that means that this is the same line. And anytime that you end up with the exact same line, the answer is infinitely many solutions. Here's a way of extra credit. You guys know that the progress report is coming up soon. They're due on Tuesday, so here's a way that you can get some extra credit if you need it. If you create a new song or create a video on how to solve for a variable, so basically the whole, first you box your variable, that whole song, I'm not going to sing it again. I'll give you 2 100% quiz grades, okay, but it's got to be something original, something that you came up with, so either creating a new song that goes with the steps, or even if you create a cool little video about it, I'll give you that for extra credit.